Welcome everyone to this most incredible summit, Wise Women Rising, Sacred Activism, Wild Earth Wisdom and Global Healing. I'm Alison Palmer and I'm your host. And I'm so pleased you're here as part of our Sacred Circle because we are honouring and celebrating the important contributions that women all over the world are making to these essential areas of our life right now. So thank you so much for being here. And today I'm thrilled to introduce to you Françoise Bourzat. I should have said that in my best French accent, but I didn't. Welcome, Françoise, first of all.
Thank you.
You can read her bio underneath. Please do that, because then you'll get a much better understanding of the wisdom that she's bringing to share with us. But I'm just going to tell you a little bit about her. She does have, Françoise has an MA in somatic psychology, and yet for the past 25 years, she's been really focusing on apprenticing with shamans and healers and teaching and counseling people in the area of expanded states of consciousness. And she partners with Mazatec healers in sacred mushroom ceremonies. And that's what we're going to talk about today is earth wisdom and sacred mushroom healing. So fantastic. I wanted to start off really with sacred mushrooms. I mean, I really hope that you just share with us some of the experience of your learning and just the processes you've been through in getting to understand this. But I wanted to just start off by asking you about what sacred mushrooms can really how they can speak to us and how they can deepen our understanding, because I think a lot of people have a great deal of fear of mushrooms. So not only do we find it difficult to identify, in our own backyards, like what are mushrooms and what are not mushrooms, and what are mushrooms that we can take, and what are there any, like, I think I have a whole load of magic mushrooms, but I really don't know. And so, I think a lot of people are in this situation where there's this not really understanding at all mushrooms and the possibilities of sacred mushrooms. So I thought that would be a good place to start and dive into and hear what you would like to share with us about that.
Yeah, thank you, Alison, of course, for inviting me to this summit. I'm really honored to be part of this gathering of wonderful women, and I'm looking forward to listening to all the presentations myself. To go into your question, it's interesting because for me, being French originally, the presence of mushrooms in my life has always been of great interest. I used to go forage for mushroom with my father in the south of France. And, it was a great food and delicacy because my father knew how to recognize the right mushrooms to, the boulette and the chanterelles. And we had this wonderful relationship with mushroom, which was never a source of fear for me. Now, I knew that there were some venomous mushrooms, and we were also educated with that. But so the French culture has been quite enamored with the world of fungi. The Anglo world has been more fungi phobic. It's a different culture, and so that's interesting how it stayed in the mentalities. Like my colleague and dear friend Paul Stamets, as a great mycologue in the world, says that mushroom can feed you, they can kill you, or they can heal you. And so it's true. They can feed you totally if you know how to recognize them. They can kill you if you don't know, and they can heal you. And I think that part of his work, which I'm also very into in the sense of the healing on the emotional and psychological level, is that Mushrooms have been used for thousands of years in the world as healers. In Europe, in the old medieval time, which was, of course, with the women genocide was erased and eradicated. But in other countries in the world, like in Nepal or in Northern America or Central America, and South America somewhat, but a lot in Central America, in Mesoamerica before the Spaniards arrived, the culture of healing with mushrooms and learning rituals and learning a connection with the divine was very much part of society and what people leaned on to for their health, their mental health, their collective health. So these mushrooms have a message for us in a way. I mean, it's a message of from the earth to the humans about what it means to be a human and what it means to live together on this planet. So I do believe that there is a lot of richness to be gathered from the world of fungi. And that's for us to be curious about and learn and be very diligent and discerning around how we engage with them.
Yeah, yeah. I just want to echo what you said about, the French culture being very um, unfearful of mushrooms, because everywhere, when you'll see people foraging, and yeah, and I live near the Pyrenees, and there's a group in my local town that actually goes regularly. I think the weather has to be correct, to the mountains to go and, forage for specific mushrooms. But I've grown up in that Anglo thing, which is like, oh no, don't even touch them. Do not touch anything, and don't trust them. I think that that's a huge message. So I'm really curious about, the sacred mushrooms. How can some mushrooms embody sacredness? What does that mean?
Some mushrooms have components in them, a certain molecule, a certain chemistry that changes our perception of reality, that changes a sense of who we are and helps us look inward towards the inner landscape, what I call the inner ecology of our being. They have been used traditionally to heal, like I said earlier, and their components, the chemical components, is active and allows us to expand our consciousness. I mean, some mushrooms are, food and healing us, like the cordyceps or the lion's mane or other mushrooms that have medicinal property on our body. But those sacred mushrooms have a different property, which is to change our perception of reality. They act on our brain receptors and allow us to have an experience that is going below our level of consciousness. And by doing so, they are inviting us to examine our life, our memory, our biography, our wounding, our healing, our strength, our resilience, our relationship with the people in our lives. They help us also understand more deeply where we come from as far as soul journeys, and they help us be in relationship with the earth. They help us really understand our belonging to the great planet and how we are made of the planet rather than live on the planet. So there's a way that our bodies are really becoming mushroom bodies in a way. They are shapeshift, we call it, right? And they have become the flesh of the mushroom, and we become the mushrooms that have all this wisdom born out of earth, the earth body. So it's a very transformative process that can be certainly startling or sometimes a little scary and sometimes a little confronting and challenging, but also a very transformative in the sense of evolution of our our human path, and the way we live life, and the way we sense who we are as human beings. For me, over my years of prudent and very intentional years of usage with these mushrooms, I have seen my life being a lot more conscious, a lot more aware of my environments, of my surroundings, of myself inside, and how I engage with people in the world. What is my mission? What is my contribution to this human family? And who am I to carry this message in a way that I was fortunate to receive or to encounter? And so now I'm speaking of it because I think it's a valuable message that comes through the ages, like I said, through thousands of years. And so it's valuable for humanity.
Yeah, yeah. And so when people think that, okay, they would like to experience this, I'm wondering, you know, do you have to do preparation? Can you just take it, take the mushroom, like just say, okay, I'm going to take some today, and just, take it and wait and see what happens? Or can it be, is it better to have guidance? Or the word protocol keeps coming, and I don't want to have that word there, but it's like, it seems like we could go into it in a rash way, that actually with high expectations, and then it doesn't actually, it doesn't benefit, and that's not even the word. It doesn't resonate with us, or we have an experience that can be really scary. And so then we, who knows what the consequences of that might be in different situations. And so I just wondered, are there good conditions under which to partner with mushrooms, or are there conditions which you'd say, okay, these are situations where you definitely do not partner with mushrooms?
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. It's really important because there are cautionary tales on any kind of substance we're going to ingest. I mean, they be medical substance or food, or in this case, what we call psychotropic substances that change your perception. There are medical considerations, first of all, that are very important, like pregnancy, like heart conditions, mental states that may not be optimal to have such an experience, depending on, if people are on meds or on anxiolytic. I mean, there's a whole array of medical considerations to consider. First of all. Secondly, we talk a lot about set and setting in this movement of psychedelic healing world. And the set and setting refers to the set, meaning what is your mindset? Why do you want to do that? What is your intention? What is your question that you come to the mushroom with? Are you just curious about exploring that space that could be fruitful? What makes you want to do that? So there's a personal question that relates to set. And then the setting is relating to the environments and the conditions. Have you been drinking the night before or the morning of? Have you been partying? Are you alone? Are you with a group? What are the people's intentions? And do you have a safe environment? Is there someone watching for you, a sitter or a guide or a friend? Are you indoor, outdoor? Is there music? Is there conversation? Are you inward, outward? All these things have to do with setting. And those 2 points of set and setting have been really written about at length since the 60s, 70s. And so that has been a theme that has been really important as far as anything having to do with altering your perception of reality, because those conditions can really impact your journey direct your journey into a positive or negative directions, and those are very important to think about. It is true that some people who take mushroom a little bit willy-nilly and with not a lot of context and a lot of support can go into what they call bad trip, this very challenging, disorienting, scary moments. Because there's nobody to help, and there's the almost like the inner world, the psyche we call, is scared, to tap into some disorientation without anybody. It's like being lost in the desert and not having a compass and not having an idea of where to find shade. It's scary to the survival instinct of our humanness, right? So yes, in my world of promoting or talking about this approach, the presence of a guide is really, really important, because the guide is someone who has been in those territories and knows the landscape of that medicine and is able to support whatever shows up in a caring, compassionate, respectful, consensual way. So there is this safety, right, that the person feels inside once they're in the experience. They can lean into the container that is being provided. And furthermore, when the experience is over and the person lands into this reality, there is the capacity to also debrief and unpack all these different layers that have been revealed, uncovered, and how to make sense of it, because sometimes what shows up can be really intense and really scary or difficult or just weird. And so the guide who knows that landscape and knows those experiences from themselves as well as from having been a guide for people can help make sense of what may be disorienting, and of course support the process, what we call integration, which is what to do with the material that was brought up to the surface and how to make use of it in an everyday life context. So the journey doesn't remain, what we call the journey or the experience with mushroom does not remain sort of a bubble of time and space, but becomes informative to the everyday life that we live.
And I was thinking as you were talking about earth wisdom coming through the mushroom and the sacredness of the wisdom that's coming through the mushroom. And I was just feeling so, if you have something in that experience when you're actually journeying and it feels, I mean, the expectation, this is what I'm thinking, is we can go into it thinking, okay, so the earth is this beautiful, earth mother. And so it's only going to be a nourishing, opening, deepening experience that I have. And yet, as you said, some things it can be a bad trip. You can have some terrifying things. And I was just thinking about that as you were talking, and we have this view of the earth as being Earth Mother, and we forget that the Earth Mother, or however we want to view Earth, can have like a mother, let's put it that way, a mother can have anger, a mother can have, strong emotions. We can say that there's, the shadow element of the sacred journeys that we go through. And so there's something in there, I'm not quite sure what it is, but it's about, how do we understand the terrifying or the unpleasant or the bad trip elements as something that we can learn from, that's actually earth wisdom. Does that make sense?
Yes, it totally makes sense. I'm glad you're bringing that up. It's interesting how the different facets of the sacred feminine are Indeed, you know, the Durga with the sword, or the great Guadalupe with the mental, you know, of compassion, or the Tara with the wisdom and the, you know, everybody, every facets of the feminine is a sense of composes a wholeness, and in the wholeness that we want to connect with, that is the earth, we have the anger and the rage, the destruction and the creation and the compassion and the equanimity and the patience and the birthing and the killing, and we have all these energies that are available to us to get and understand directly while we are on the mushrooms. So these parts of ourselves are coming to the surface to inform us that our wholeness as women, I mean, as people in general, but here we talk about women, as women, we are whole. And as being whole, we have all these facets, and the journeys help us to this wholeness. So we have to own our rage and our anger and our destructiveness, and we have to own our compassion. And when we commune with this mushroom, this earth wisdom, this earth energy, we are in touch with these different facets of wholeness. So I always tell people, a mushroom journey is not necessarily geared to happiness and love and light, but it's geared towards wholeness. So whatever you need to reown, you're gonna reown, you know, and if it means you're gonna have to tackle your Kali with her destructiveness and her power of creation and blood, and this is what you're gonna do, and good for you. It might be a little like, whoa, you know, a little scary somewhere, but good for you, because your wholeness is wholeness. Your wholeness is made of all the facets of the feminine, and it is important. We have the great mother, the destroyer, the muse, the inspirer, the lover, and all this is who we are as women. So this work, I believe, is about wholeness, is about really uncovering and reowning and embodying in a way that is, of course, not creating pain, but reowning inside ourselves all this aspect of the bright and the shadow. We have to be whole. We cannot be just something and push something aside thinking it's going to disappear. And the mushrooms are very unequivocal about this. They just show what is missing in the picture of your wholeness. So you're going to go to what's needed, not necessarily what you want, but what's needed to obtain or to reach or walk towards this place of wholeness.
Oh, I just love that. It's like saying, okay, I want to do this. I want to open up. I want to explore this with working with mushrooms and asking the mushroom for guidance and for wisdom. And then we have to acknowledge that, like you said, it's not going to be what we want. It's going to be what the mushroom sees that we need at that point, which and we can go through life, we all do, I'm sure everybody goes through life saying, yeah, you know, I know that there's that part of me that isn't resolved, or that I really have never wanted to look at, or whatever it is. We've got loads of aspects like that, actually. And so we can go through life never confronting them, always, even with the best of intention, saying, yes, I'm going to do that, but right now I'm too busy. And what you're saying here, it seems to me, is that journeying with mushrooms in a safe place with guidance, I really think, for me, that's just an absolute essential part of it, because like you say, you know, you have to know that you feel safe, but when you come out, you need to understand. So you don't want to just think, oh my goodness, that was terrifying, why did I do that? It's like the mushroom has got your back, the wisdom, the sacred wisdom is there, it's there to help you, but it might not be the help that you thought that you wanted. But it's making you confront these parts that, you just never got round to. So I think that that's just so fabulous that it's the wisdom overrides our need to control our consciousness.
Yes, exactly. And the mushrooms really are allowing us to access the sub layers of our consciousness, which we call unconscious. So the control mechanism of thinking and our willpower and our directionality is totally, not all completely, but it's very reduced. I would say it's obliterated completely. It depends on the dosage and the safety and the experience, but it's very reduced. So we are not controlling the situation, and we are able to touch deeper layers that are holding so much wisdom and so much pain at the same time and need to be liberated. I also often talk about my work or my whatever, what I'm doing or talking as a process of liberation and empowerment. So we have to heal, we have to heal, we have to liberate our wounding and the baggage we carry culturally, personally, from a family perspective, but we have also to grow and to have consciousness, and to empower ourselves to be women of wholeness, and know that we have the courage to face our wounding and our difficulty, because that gives us resilience, and that gives us the muscle, the psychic muscle to live life with and support other people then, right? Because the more we go through our pain, the more equipped we are to then give, which is a lot of what this work is about. It's about passing on the healing, helping other people. There's a great aspect in that psychedelic world, we could say, of solidarity and the principle of unity. We know we are all together. We are all one big soul manifested in different bodies and lives and experiences, but we ought to be with each other and support one another in this evolutionary process. And a lot of what we gain from those journeys can be then serving other people in their own healing and empowerment.
So it really does help us to deepen that multi-layered awareness of the fact that we are all one.
Yes.
And so when we're operating in our normal everyday lives, we can bring that awareness more deeply to our everyday relations. Very powerful.
I think that again, the mushrooms is helping us understand from a direct experience, not from a mental consideration, that Earth is literally our mother. We have one mother, we have one body growing us, birthing us, feeding us, burying us. Mm-hmm. And this is one organism, and we are just little mushrooms representing having our little lives, but we are really connected by the birthing and the source of our nourishment and sustenance and wisdom. We are all learning through the plants, through what we eat. We are constantly learning what relies us, what relates us, what bonds us. So we are not separated. We are not separated. We're all related to the fact that all our food is birthed on the same soil, on the same body of wisdom, on the same organism, which is Earth. So in mushrooms, we really feel that. We really, it's an obvious connection that is really anchoring a lot of the way we live our lives. It really feeds the way we posture ourselves in the world towards one another.
Oh, there's so many different ways to go here. So I'm just thinking, as you were talking then about, as food, okay, mushrooms are a food, and there's many other different plants that we eat. And I just wondered if, do you think this is just like just come to me, is it possible that other plants, like I have a little vegetable patch, it's not very big, but one of the things I grow is blets. Okay.
Mhm.
So
I love them.
that's
I
the
love
French word.
that.
I think they're called shards in English,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure because I've only known them here. So to me, they're blets. Green, beautiful leafy vegetables and leaves. And to me, I always, I always go and talk to them and when I pick them, and I'm just wondering, do you believe that that if we could deepen our awareness, like let go of our head and just fall into a truer way of being, is it possible that other plants or even all plants have this um, transformative earth wisdom that we have lost touch with? I mean, I suppose, are they all sacred? I guess that's the question.
In the native language of the Americas, of the First Nation, they say all is sacred, all is spirit, all is an embodiment of spirit. The rock, the river, the mountain, the tree, the plants, the flowers, the animals. So yes, everything is sacred. Everything is born of this spirit woman, Gaia, whatever we call her, and everything is sacred. And yes, there is a great knowledge. I mean, in the herbal realm, I mean, I've been personally, and beside the mushroom track, that is my path, I've been also very much growing my food, a lot of food and fruit trees and making things and that, and pesto and compote and this. Um, and I've been also making flower essences and tinctures with my herbs that grow around my house, because I feel like everything is a remedy. I mean, if you drink mint because you grow mint, you're going to have a certain impact on your digestive system, right? If you drink chamomile tea in the evening, you're going to have an impact on your sleep. If you eat pepper, you're going to have an impact on your brain activity. Every plant has an echo in our body and impacts our health. We heal with licorice, we heal with all kinds of, I mean, if you look at the herbal remedy books, I mean, you have a whole Bible of access to healing, really. And the old women, the old wives' tales, the old witches, which is in a good way, word sense of the word, the witches had an amazing knowledge of how to heal with herbs. And of course, the church didn't like it, so they killed them all. But the women were the wise women in herbs, as we say.
Mm.
And they knew everything there was to heal. And medicine is born out of the Western scientific medicine is born out of herbal knowledge. Originally, it was all herbal knowledge that got sort of transformed and synthesized later. But originally, it was all herbal knowledge. I mean, when we look at all medical books, they all talk about herbal knowledge. I mean, my mother used to put mustard seed plasters on my chest when I had a cough, because that was the remedy. That was what to do. That was like obvious. You use mustard seeds. You don't go to have a cough, blocker. You just bring it up. So I was raised with this. So for me, it was obvious that herbs and remedies are part of the healing, capacities. So yeah, everything is sacred and everything has a virtue or a impact, and physically and spiritually. I mean, if we look at the Bach essence, flower essence, it's a whole territory of transformation from a spiritual level that personally I believe in, and I practiced, and I make my own, and I suggest that to some of my people to the adjunct approach, and it's very, very potent. And I think that, we lean on the earth knowledge and wisdom and tools as a multifaceted a toolbox, not just like, okay, I'm doing mushrooms and that's all I do. The earth is so vast and has so much gifts that we can draw from.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, one of the things that prompted me to organize this summit was this deep understanding as I was walking around the land here, that the land was talking to me, but I'd lost the language. I'd lost the ability to really hear.
Mhm.
And it set me, I just thought, how have we lost this understanding? I mean, not everybody has, but most of us have lost this understanding of actually hearing. And what you're talking about here about, the sacredness of mushrooms and the power that they have to really guide us and share with us deep wisdom. And then, also the plants and, as you so rightly said, herbs, herbal medicines, herbal remedies. I just feel, I feel this deepening of reverence uh, towards nature, maybe, but towards, I keep thinking about, specific leaves coming out of the ground and the depth of, like, the mushroom is so in the ground and it's got all of those connections going out everywhere. And so if that's going out everywhere, then all the plants, their roots are all connecting into all of that as well. And I just feel like, oh my goodness, there is such a world that we have separated ourselves from, and we are it's it seems like, talking about sacred activism, it seems that one of the ways of actually taking action right now is to slow down and to just explore that potential connection to plants, to the depth of the connections. As you said, we're all one anyway, but the plants really show us that. And some of the plants, like the sacred mushrooms, can take us on specific journeys, and potentially other plants, like my beautiful blet leaves that are dark and glossy and
Mhm.
shiny, can take us on a different kind of
Mhm.
healing journey if we could be open to it.
Yes, I mean, as you speak, Alison, I'm flashing back to this French philosopher Montesquieu, from the late 1700, who used to say, if you want to learn about life, tend your garden. And it's really true. It's really true. When I tend my garden, I'm in touch with the entire cycle of life. I'm in touch with the mystery of the seeds and the roots and the connection, like you say, and I'm in touch with the growth and the cycle and the sun and the water and the dryness and it's a reflection of myself. When I look at my basil, I can see it starting to bloom and I want it not to bloom. So I cut the blossoms. Do I get big leaves? Do I make my pesto? There's a whole relationship of knowing the plants you're growing and using them in your food. And then you feed yourself not just with a plant, but you feed yourself with a relationship that you've had. You feed yourself with your own love that you've put in those plants. And I think it carries so much healing power, the energetic of feeding ourselves with what we grow. I always tell my clients, I said, just grow a pot of parsley on your deck. I don't care. It's just, you can have a little pot somewhere of something, because symbolically it gets us really in touch with all that is us, all that is growing in us, all that is fruiting in us, all that is beneficial and our food for thoughts, so to speak. And the mushrooms are really incredible because they're, as you said, the mushrooms are living underneath the ground and have a great mycelium network. I mean, they're the biggest living organism on the planet, right? So, I mean, it's quite phenomenal when you think of it, that this is the biggest thing there is growing on this planet. And then the fruit, they bring the little body of mushrooms up the ground, but underneath they are really having an entire conversation with many different aspects of the landscape, right? The water, the rock, that tree, and those little plants and those ferns. And they have a capacity. When we ingest the sacred mushroom, we learn about connection. We learn about interdependence. We learn about reliance on each other. We learn about mutual support. We learn about connections, right? And that's a great message that we get from the mushroom, from the very principle of how they are on this planet. We absorb that embodiment, right? And what that means for us physiologically, but also psychologically and relationally is tremendous, really.
Wow. 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 So I need to breathe that all in. Well, Françoise, this has been really just so amazing. Just really has just brought in something that is opening for me personally. So I'm assuming for lots of people who are watching this, our capacity to transform our relationship with nature, of which we are part, and to start to heal that division in a very profound way. I know that you've got some offerings for people, and I know people will be thinking, okay, right, I want to know more about this. So can you share a little bit about those, please?
Yes. Well, the first obvious offering is a book that I wrote in 2019 that is called Consciousness Medicine, and it is on my website and on Amazon. Again, it's called Consciousness Medicine. It was very well received, and I'm really happy it contributes to this field of interest of the sacred mushroom. Also, I would like to offer some of my online courses that I've been gathering in order to invite people in accessing different level of altered state of consciousness without medicine, of course. And there's two online courses. There's a level 1 and a level 2, and I'm offering 2 online course level 1, and then a of percentage of the rest to some certain number of people. So that will be listed on the offering, and I'm really glad people get to enter my world a little more through different practices that are interesting to me.
Wow. Sounds really incredible. Everyone, information is below here with the links. So if this is speaking to you, if you're feeling like I am, that this is just opening possibilities, that's the place to go. Explore, follow your inner guidance, and click on the links and see what's what, and make the most of this opportunity. And the information about the book is below as well. And also you've got an organization that you're inviting donations towards as well. So would you like to just say something about that?
Yes, I'll say something. So I organized a long time ago this nonprofit organization called the Circle of Hearts to support some friends who were not able to support themselves due to severe illness. And over the years, this organization has broadened its reach and its support. And right now, this organization is gathering funds to support parents who have lost a child. And those parents are needing a lot of help, and a team of friends of mine and myself organize these retreats in Jamaica where parents can access a legal psilocybin mushroom journey to help heal this enormous grief. So the team is a team of psychologists and medical doctors and people really trained in grief processes. So this organization gathers fundings to help parents financially when they need to be accessing that retreat, and they don't have to worry about money in their space. So this organization is, welcoming your support if you wish to, to support it. Yeah.
Beautiful. That's so beautiful. And again, the information and the link is below here. So if you click on the link, it will take you to a place where you can get more information and then donate if you choose to. Françoise, this has been fabulous. I've loved it. It's given me food for thought. Let's put it that way. Green leafy food for thought. And mushroom food for thought. And I just feel like I'm really connected. I feel like doors have opened for me in our conversation. So, in such a short time, I really want to thank you.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to contribute to this amazing gathering and for inviting me this. Thank you so much, Alison. Thank you so much.
And everyone, thank you for joining us today. And please remember, information and links are below. Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.